We are less than 24 hours away from the opening of NBA free agency, and moves are already happening. One of the Knicks' favorite trade targets was just shipped out, not going to the New York Knicks. But if you're ready for NBA offseason and the NBA free agency period to start, I want you to go down right now and like this video. Welcome into New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. We have a loaded, and I mean loaded, show of Knicks news and rumors to get to. But the first thing, Dejounte Murray was just traded from the San Antonio Spurs to the Atlanta Hawks. We know the Knicks were in on Murray, so we'll break down that trade. And is a Jalen Brunson deal to the New York Knicks already done? We have some contract details to get to. And are the Knicks interested in signing Mo Bamba in NBA free agency? We also have some Cam Reddish and Evan Fournier rumors to talk about. But first, make sure you go down right now and hit that big red button, because when the Knicks make a move on Thursday, when they sign Brunson, when they make another move or sign somebody else, nobody on YouTube is going to be breaking it down faster than we are here at New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. So help us get to 8,000 subscribers. Go down right now and hit that big red button. Let's talk about the Dejounte Murray trade, which had him going from the San Antonio Spurs to the Atlanta Hawks. This one stings because just a couple of minutes before the trade happened, Mark Stein reported the Knicks were in on Murray until the very end. They were the last one of the last three teams to be on the trade list for Dejounte Murray. And the Woj bomb dropped that Murray will be going from San Antonio to the Atlanta Hawks in exchange for Danilo Gallinari and 3 first-round picks from the San Antonio Spurs. 2 San Antonio Spurs picks are unprotected in 2025 and 2027, and the 2023 first-round pick from the Charlotte Hornets, owned by the Hawks, will go to the Spurs. That first-round pick, that's the pick the Knicks traded to the Atlanta Hawks for Cam Reddish. So it sucks we didn't get Dejounte Murray. It sucks even more that the Hawks used an asset that we had to go get Murray. I think if the Knicks really wanted to go get Murray, they would have had it. They would have done it because they got 11 first-round picks over the next 7 years. But they didn't do it. Now he's a Hawk, and now the Knicks got to make him another move. We'll talk about other moves in just a second, but I want to ask you this question. Who do you think wins this Dejounte Murray trade? Is it the Spurs because they get Gallinari, the ex-Knick, and 3 future first-round picks and 2 unprotected first-round picks? Or is it the Atlanta Hawks because they get the best player in the deal in Dejounte Murray? Let me know. Type SAS for the San Antonio Spurs or ATL for the Atlanta Hawks. Once I saw the tweet come in and the Woj bomb and the news that Dejounte Murray was going from San Antonio to Atlanta and he was not going to play for the Knicks, I thought to myself, what is the move now for the New York Knicks? Because in my opinion, the Brunson move is not the most important move for Leon Rose. It's the next move, because at this point, the move for Brunson is expected. And the Knicks now have $36 million in cap space. Brunson is going to sign anywhere from $25 to $30 million per year. So you have more money to spend. The Knicks need to go out and make a move right now, because the salary cap they have right now in the space won't last forever. You got to re-sign Mitchell Robinson. You got to extend R.J. Barrett. So that cap space will be eaten up quickly. You won't have all these first-round picks forever. I can't wait to see what happens. We are just a couple hours away from knowing what the New York Knicks are going to do next. But now let's talk about Jalen Brunson. Is it a done deal that he is going to the New York Knicks? The latest reports are that the Knicks are expected to offer Jalen Brunson a 4-year, $110 million deal once NBA free agency opens up on Thursday at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. Eastern, I think is the time, 5 p.m. Central. So a 4-year, $110 million deal for Brunson. This is what it would look like with the 5% cap increases every year. This year it'd start off at $25.5 million, then it'd go to $26.8, then $28.1, then $29.4 to round out to a total of $110 million over 4 years for Brunson. And a lot of people say this is too much money. This is, an overpay. Well, this would make Brunson the 14th highest paid player at the point guard spot in the NBA. And I think it's safe to say that Brunson is a top 15 player. Because when we saw what he did as a starter for the Dallas Mavericks, when he took over after the first 20 games when the Dallas Mavericks were struggling, he showed that he could be that guy. As a starter this season, he averaged 17.5 points per game. to go along with 5 assists. Shot north of 50% from the floor, and almost 39% from three. Those are great numbers. He's one of the most efficient players in the NBA. And when he got to the playoffs, he upped his totals and his production to a different level, averaging almost 22 points per game to go along with 4 assists, and was very efficient as well, north of 46% from the field and almost 35% from three. Brunson is worthy of this money, and the Knicks are lucky to have him. Because the last time a New York Knick put up 40 points in a playoff game and won was back in 2012 with Carmelo Anthony, and prior to that, it was 1990 with Patrick Ewing. But Jalen Brunson, without Luka, in Game 2 of the first round against the Utah Jazz, put up 41 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists. So I don't want to hear this talk that he's just a one-hit wonder. He hasn't proven himself. He's done that, and he showed he can produce in the most pressured field situations. And if you are a Knicks fan, we've been in point guard hell. Look at all of the point guards that have started for the New York Knicks on opening night. Kemba Walker, Elfrid Payton, Alonzo Trier, Trey Burke, Raymond Sessions, Derrick Rose. I'm talking torn knees Derrick Rose. Jose Calderon, Shane Larkin, Pablo Prigioni, Raymond Felton, Tony Douglas, Raymond Felton again, and Chris Duhon. Point guard hell is a scary place. And the New York Knicks now are out of that burden. They're out of that jail cell. They're out of the fiery depths of point guard hell now that they are going to sign Jalen Brunson. So is it an overpay? Maybe. But the going rate to go get a good point guard at the age of 26 is $25 million. And that's what Jalen Brunson is. Am I okay with the deal? Absolutely. It gets my stamp of approval, especially considering where we come from as the history of New York point guards over the last 15 years. When the Knicks finally announced the Jalen Brunson signing, we are going to be breaking it down on this channel, youtube.com/KnicksTV. When news happens, when rumors come out, we give it to you faster than anybody out there on YouTube. So subscribe, hit that big red button, help us get to 8,000 subscribers. We're less than 800 away. Hit that big red button, help us get there. Story number 2, 3, 2.5 on today's show, wherever we are. The Knicks, are they in on Mo Bamba and NBA free agency? The latest report is that the Orlando Magic, they did not extend a qualifying offer to Mo Bamba, so he will be an unrestricted free agent this summer, which means the Knicks and him and Bamba and the Knicks agree on a contract. Bamba doesn't have the chance to have his contract matched by the Orlando Magic. He was set to be a restricted free agent, but since they didn't, extend that qualifying offer, he will now be an unrestricted free agent. And Kobe Price of the Orlando Sentinel said this today. The Orlando Magic aren't expected to tender a qualifying offer to Bamba by the end of Wednesday, which will make him an unrestricted free agent when free agency opens. The Toronto Raptors, Knicks, Lakers, Bulls, Rockets, Heat, and Timberwolves are expected to be interested in Bamba. And I'd love for the New York Knicks to go out and get Mo, because Bamba as a backup big is solid to Mitchell Robinson. All signs point to Robinson being re-signed to the Knicks from anywhere from $10 to $15 million per year. But Bamba in a backup role coming off the bench and spelling Robinson someone that has had some injury issues in the past is a great idea. He averaged 10.5 points per game this past year, 8.1 rebounds, almost 2 blocks, and shot 38.1% from deep. That will stretch the floor. That'll open up the court for Brunson. That'll open up the court for Randall. That'll open up the court for R.J. Barrett. I like Bamba, and I like the fact that he stretches the floor and is able to protect the rim. So I'll ask you Knicks fans this question. Do you want the Knicks to sign Mo Bamba? It's going to cost around $10 million. It may eat up the rest of that cap space or into that mid-level exception the Knicks have. I don't like him as a starter, but I like him as a backup in a two-player front court with the Knicks of Bamba and Robinson. I would type Y for yes, but this is the part of the show where you can sound off and let me know if I'm an idiot. Type Y for yes, or you can go down and type N for no. To close out today's show, we have some trade rumors to get to. The latest reports are the Knicks are trying to package Cam Reddish and Evan Fournier in a trade to get off of Evan Fournier's salary. There's some concerns that I have, and then I've seen online inside the Knicks building that a Brunson and Evan Fournier backcourt scares Knicks when it comes to the defensive side of the court. This is what Fred Katz of The Athletic had to say on the Fournier trade rumors. He said, Evan Fournier has spent 2 years, or has 2 years remaining on his contract. the Knicks have spent the past few weeks getting an idea of his trade market and clearly deemed the assets it would take to attach to him too costly to complete any deal. I have concerns, like we just said a second ago, of a backcourt of Brunson and Fournier being your starting 1 and 2. You don't really have that much defensive versatility. You have great scorers and great shot makers in Fournier and Brunson, but are you really going to be able to play a defensive brand of basketball with Thibodeau and Brunson and Fournier in the backcourt? We know what Fournier is. One of the best shooters in the NBA, no doubt about it. He made 241 threes for the New York Knicks this year, which is a franchise record for a single season. He also shot 39% from three and 42% from the deck while averaging 14 points per game. He had big games against the Boston Celtics multiple times. But other games, he would go out there and look like he couldn't shoot and had a blindfold on. I like Fournier. He's streaky, but I have concerns about the defensive pressure that he can add to this team if you go out and sign Brunson, who's not an elite defender, but a solid one, but someone that is a little bit undersized. But I'll ask you this question. Should the Knicks trade Evan Fournier? Let me know. It's an interesting question. They would save about $18 million in cap space if they did so, but I don't know if they're willing to attach the necessary resources to get it done. But they're making calls and they're taking offers. Let me know what you think, though. Type T for trade, or you can go down and type K for keep. With those Fournier rumors, it sounded like Cam Reddish is going to be attached, and they've been taking calls on a guy like Cam Reddish. Someone that really hasn't shown that he can be great, but if you watch him with how smooth he is at 6'8", the way he's able to slither in between the paint, finish around the cup, he's everything you want in a small forward. 6'8", can put it on the deck, can score at all three levels, but he hasn't been consistent. When he signed with the Knicks this year, he didn't play, or got traded to the Knicks, he didn't play well. 6 points per game, less than 45% from the field, 25% from three in only 15 games. He played better with the Hawks, but no numbers suggest that he's an untouchable asset. And that's what it seems like New York Knicks fans look at Cam Reddish. They love Cam Reddish. I love Cam Reddish. But he's not some untouchable asset or somebody that you just throw into a trade, and he's a deal maker and a money maker and someone that's just going to shake up a deal. I like Reddish. I don't think he's someone that you add to a deal that gets it done. Do I want to see him play for the Knicks next year? Absolutely. Do I think he can be good in the NBA? Yes. Do I think he could be great? I think there's a chance. But I have to see it to believe it. And the best ability is availability. He's been hurt throughout his NBA career. Now with that shoulder coming back, I want to see him be great, but he has to show me before I believe it. But to end today's show, I want to ask this question, because I read the comment section after every show, and some people like Cam Reddish more, and some people like Quentin Grimes more. But pick one to keep. Or another way to ask this question, who is a more valuable piece to this roster or a more valuable trade chip? Type CR for Cam Reddish, type QG for Quentin Grimes. I appreciate everybody that's made New York Knicks Now a part of their day today. If you haven't yet, hit me up. Give me a follow on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_. Everyone that follows me from this video, I'll give you a follow back. Just send me a DM and be like, yo, Marsh, I came from the most recent video on New York Knicks Now.